Hey everybody, welcome to the Jeff and Casey Show.
Hello, and welcome to the Jeff and Casey Show. I know that many of you out there listen to the Jeff and Casey Show because you want to stay informed about the world around you, and very specifically, you want to stay informed about the world of technology around you. And you know that both myself and Jeff are experts in the technical arena and are capable of providing you with the kind of insightful commentary that only tech experts can provide, which is why...
Better than like Ars Technica or
much better than those places that actually test hardware, for example.
We mostly we're giving you a bigger picture
opine.
of a gut feeling.
Right? They do not opine, but we are capable of opining.
But also, we don't do those shitty unboxing videos, so it's...
That's a good point.
Yeah.
6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Yep, we're never going to do that.
This week, we have a long overdue opination, if you will.
Yep.
Which is several weeks ago, and our schedule did not permit us to review it at the time. Several weeks ago, Adobe announced new hardware that took the world by storm, certainly.
Yep.
And by world, I mean the kinds of people who think that the trackpad on a MacBook is usable.
Yeah.
Those people very specifically. And what they announced was a two-pronged, I want to say, insertion into the hardware world.
Right.
The first was a stylus, and the second was a ruler, effectively. Both for use with things such as an iPad.
Okay. I will say two things. One, I would just say to start, the idea of Adobe making hardware devices is absolutely terrifying. Yeah. That just full stop.
Yes.
They're going to have McAfee on there. That loads automatically. You can't turn that shit off. They probably have Flash, that's terrifying.
Okay, so you just went right to that part, I guess, and I guess we should address that first. So the question that's on my mind then is do my hardware devices from Adobe come with the Google toolbar? Right. Is it like the Google toolbar is stenciled on the side of my stylus?
Well,
do I have to have some kind of a special
they
Adobe
downloader?
Come with
a gigabyte of memory just to load Adobe Reader.
Right.
Just to load the
instructions.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah, that is scary alone. I think the other thing that's a little scary, just my second part of this, is imagine you're a talented hardware engineer and you have design goals and you're I want to change the world and change the way people interact with it. If you made a list of all the companies you could go do that, where does Adobe, how does that happen?
Right.
It doesn't.
I see. So they were we went from one laptop per child, and they were what's the next thing? Right. That's going to be a big media success, and they're it's going to be a pen for an iPad.
I just think the people that they're going to get that work on this were not able to get hired at Apple, Microsoft, Google, Intel, Sony, Samsung, you just go down this list. You go down this, and you're after microwave designers, after the X-ray machine at the hospital,
after the millimeter wave scanner. The TSA is you're
after
somewhere
the guy
NASA
that made the robot on the Segway. All of that, you're well. All right.
Photoshop.
Here we go, right?
Then you're thinking, Photoshop, Scott. Those guys, they know hardware.
Yeah,
if anyone does.
Yep. So what are the two devices, just to be clear?
Right. So getting more serious about the hardware review. So the first thing they introduced was a stylus.
Okay.
And as far as I can tell, there is only one aspect of this stylus that in any way differentiates its announcement from the myriad styluses that you can already purchase, even for an iPad. Now, to be clear,
Is it that it has to connect to... Is that you rent it? Because that would be the Adobe's little thing.
So did you read about the stylus?
No, I only know...
Are you making that joke legitimately? Did you legitimately only
I thought it was like a rent, like the rest of their software.
The answer is yes.
Are you sitting me?
The one... new idea behind the stylus is that it is, and I quote, cloud connected.
Oh.
Now, as everyone knows, there's no such thing as a cloud connected pen.
Right.
Maybe the stuff inside the pen could talk to the cloud to download something if you want to, but even then, the pen itself, there's not going to be any benefit to having the pen talk to the cloud.
Yeah.
The fucking pad is going to talk to the cloud, right? Because why would you can't do anything with a pen when you're just holding it.
Well, maybe
you need to talk to the cloud for.
It's sending all this, all of the
Up
scribbles.
through Adobe, right?
Up there.
To the
back
NSA.
to- right,
The
through
NSA looks
NSA
like,
scrap,
did they write anything that looks like the diagram for a bomb? Nope. Okay, send it,
It
on
wouldn't
back.
even be that. It would be like, did they draw something that looks like, skull and crossbones
Right.
on like a box of tea? Like it'd be really basic stuff that like a little 12-year-olds draw.
There's like
Yeah.
there's like the war room
Right.
at the NSA, and there's just
And if
cock.
a Republican
the
in his
whole thing
office
is cock. There's
wasn't
like all these little people drawing penises, right? Because you know that like 25% of everything is a penis
Yeah.
that gets drawn. So there's just that all over the walls. Of like, nope, penis, penis, penis,
Yeah.
penis. Wait, no, it's penis.
Yeah, right. Like as it starts, you're like,
Right.
oh.
It's a missile.
It's
It's a missile. No, it's
no,
penis.
no,
Penis.
fuck.
Never mind.
Oh, man.
Back it up.
Yeah.
So
Those aren't wheels, those are balls.
I literally do not think I actually.
That's hysterical. I didn't know that.
Yes, back when it came out, I watched even the announcement video, and I do not remember a single advertising point about the stylus that
You
had anything to
can't-
do with the hardware of the stylus. It was strictly
You can't
that
say
fact.
that a piece of hardware is cloud enabled if just the software underneath it saves it. Because is it saying?
Oh, but you can apparently.
But like,
Because
my
they did.
mom in more mom stories.
Yes.
In my mom made a stylus.
You should really have her on the podcast.
Yeah, my mom once made a stylus by taking a cotton swab,
Right.
and then wrapping it in tinfoil
Yes.
because you need to have something.
Right.
And she was so excited
Yes.
because it saved $8
Dollars for buying an
a real stylus. So how much is this?
Oh,
if
I
it's
don't even
going-
want to know. They haven't actually released. You can't buy this.
Oh, okay.
This is like
Wait,
this
if you
is
don't-
hardcore cutting edge technology, Jeff.
If you don't renew
It's not
your
out yet.
cloud account, does that mean like all the signatures you've ever done on everything just disappear?
Who
Because
the hell
that's a
knows?
feature.
Who knows?
Because if you could unsign your document.
Let me tell you about the feature,
All right.
because the
Wait, the feature?
the features are coming.
Okay.
Here.
Of the stylus.
The cloud enabled part of this.
Oh, all right.
So, yes, you may ask, what makes the pen quote unquote cloud enabled? Because obviously, it's a lot of hot marketing error, but you'd figure there's at least something
Right.
that makes this pen nominally cloud enabled in a way that just some random stylus you buy off of Kickstarter or wherever they are
Right.
coming from currently is not.
Right.
And here's the thing. The pen, apparently,
Okay.
stores inside it some kind of identification, such that when you are using the pen, it knows that it is you, so that you don't have to input any identifying information.
I see. So the pen is not just a stylus.
Because hold on,
It's a USB key.
apparently Adobe thought to themselves, what's the one item that all Americans never lose?
Right.
It's the most secure thing on their person. They would
Right.
never accidentally leave it somewhere. And they were like, a pen. Everyone keeps their pen on their keychain and they always use the same pen. So we'll just do that and it'll be perfect. It'll be natural. It's just like Apple. They've nailed
it.
They've nailed the
They
human
studied,
factor.
right. They
It's
studied
incredible. I don't know how you
the
end up in
5
that
people.
place.
I think also
It's like they never even had a synapse firing from one side of the brain to the other.
I
It's just
like
a
the
big
idea.
wall in there.
I like the idea that they also think that like everyone has a stylus, like because Adobe can't do, 200. I mean, if we could go find out and ask one of these people to
Right.
make the stylus on Etsy and like
Right,
that, because
right,
there's
right.
a million of them out
Yeah,
there and they're
right.
like $4.
Yeah.
How many of these did you sell?
Right, right.
Like because you never see nobody. I mean, the whole point of the touch computer was the
Right, to get rid of the input device.
getting rid of that
Right,
bullshit that
yeah.
you don't want to keep,
Yes.
right? So I don't know what they're thinking that like, oh, this is going to be huge. This is going to be the next iPad. Everyone's going to have this fucking pen.
Well, and you should watch the tech demo. I would highly encourage the readers, the listeners, to
The watchers.
Yeah, exactly. The watchers to go and watch this tech demo themselves, because the best part about it is the guy's got like this iPad or something that's on the table, and he's got the pen, and he's like, "See, I'm just gonna draw something," and he draws something, and you can like count the seconds
I was gonna say-
between when the fucking line shows up. Like it's like Ghost in the Machine. It's like he drew something, and then later his like
That's the-
doppelganger came and drew it again.
Yeah.
It's like. It's amazing, the lag.
That's
the
the
lag
aw-
was epic. I was like,
That's-
it was like even Photoshop can't match this lag itself.
That's the
It's
awesome
pretty
thing
amazing.
about drawing on a pad versus a computer, because on a computer it's been laggy for years. And
Well, there's
it-
also the disconnect between where you are drawing and the
Yeah,
screen,
well, and
so you
also-
don't see the exact tip.
Yeah. Well,
as
and
much,
also,
but yeah.
well, I mean, computers are 10 times faster
Right, they're
than a
much
pad,
faster, yes.
and the mouse is being sampled at 200 DPI. So like you do it, you're gonna get somewhat until
Yeah.
like Windows page out, so you get this nice curve and then a
It's like, clang, 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 clang.
yeah. But you do that any iPad app and just draw a circle and you just get this
Yeah,
stop
yeah,
sign
yeah.
action happening
Yeah.
all around. So yeah, that's nuts.
So that's
as well.
that's where they're
Okay,
at.
so that's product one.
Right.
That's going to change the world.
That is
What is it called? Is it called Adobe Stylus, or is it called Adobe?
I believe they called it the Mighty Smart Stylus, Project Mighty Smart Stylus.
Okay.
And I think I pretty much covered everything that was there. It just says Adobe has just announced its first hardware initiative, a pressure-sensitive stylus and an electronic ruler, which is the one we'll get to in a minute, that will tightly integrate with its software applications. The company's Project Mighty Stylus and Napoleon Ruler have been showcased connecting to an iPad and iPhone over Bluetooth.
Awesome. All right.
It doesn't really, yeah. So, where this starts to get exciting, because obviously the pen
We've seen that before.
is incredibly stupid.
Well, no, I bet we've seen like.
We've seen it before, but not one that was a fucking security hole.
Well,
we have not seen someone. No one's ever.
Casey,
no one's ever introduced a stylus that was a
saying,
security hole, right?
they've
That's hard to
existed,
do.
And now it's in the cloud, but like those products is just what's out of their blue sky engineering.
Right.
What's
Yeah.
next?
Okay.
Because the next thing I've not seen before.
Okay, so paired with this, and this is the big, this is the big leap forward.
Paired meaning that the Bluetooth won't pair, but
Oh yeah, nothing's pairing with anything,
No.
but in terms of marketing push,
Right, okay.
paired with. They have also introduced a ruler.
all right, yes.
And so obviously if you think about the stylus equivalent, so you're like, all right, I've got a drafting table, and
Yeah.
a lot of times you used a pencil or something like that, and that is what the stylus is mimicking. Well, you also had
to
things
draw straight lines
like
sometimes.
a T-square, or like, there's a lot of mechanical things. You remember the ones that kind of had
Yeah.
angled, they were like arms that you use for drafting, like
Right.
architects would use them and stuff.
So you have to draw some straight lines.
So you have to draw some straight lines, and they were, or angles, or things like
Right.
this. And they were like, how can we,
This is Adobe.
what is the best, Adobe,
Yeah.
right? And to be clear, I don't want to harsh on their hardware designers or anything here. But if you look at Adobe's products, it's pretty clear that they have no fucking idea how to let someone draw a straight line.
I mean,
because honestly,
I
it's
was
pretty
gonna
damn
say-
hard to draw a straight line. in
I was
most
going
of
to
their
say,
products.
I
It's pretty
kind of
amazing.
feel like there's some
Yeah.
some features in there
Right.
that are ostensibly for drawing straight lines
Yes. But they
without
all,
having to put anything.
most of them don't totally work and all
Oh,
that
all
stuff,
right.
and it's fine. So it's true. It's true. Adobe doesn't currently ship products that make it very easy to draw a straight line.
Yes.
That is true.
I would
Okay?
also say
I might argue that is the fault of their software, but assuming you know
Well,
the shift key,
let's-
hotkeys, and all that stuff, it's like, all right, maybe I got a straight line in there.
Also, maybe you want a line that's made up of like tens of thousands of little segments as you drag across. Like, it could be.
That could
Like,
be
maybe
too.
you're going to tessellate this
That
later
could
on.
be too.
And that doesn't work either.
It's pretty spectacular. But point being, they
also, I don't know about you, Casey, but I have things on my desk that are straight. I don't know if you do, but I mean, if I needed, and I'm like, oh, I can't use the line tool
Right,
because
right.
when I do, it does some Bezier
Right,
thing on the
right, yeah,
endpoints, and
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know why it's okay. Shit, I selected
Right.
the. Oh fuck.
Right, it's
You know what?
snapping
Fuck
to
it.
the
I'm
guide,
gonna
I
stay on the
can't-
pencil forever.
Right.
I'm never getting off the pencil.
Right.
It's a bad idea to ever get off the pencil.
which is probably true.
I just get a book or like
Right,
anything
right.
on my desk.
Okay.
Anything.
Well,
it doesn't
then-
have to be that. Just something to make a straight line.
But here's the thing. Why would you do that when you could have a cloud-enabled ruler? And
Oh,
here's
shit.
the
I
thing,
didn't
Jeff.
even- wait, the ruler can't be cloud enabled.
I don't know if the ruler's cloud-enabled or
Wait,
not. I assume you don't need it
know
to be.
if the ruler
But-
was cloud enabled,
Right.
then it's like.
But basically what they've done is they've taken what, in general, you could easily do without the ruler.
Yes.
Right? And they've
Any
now
number
made
of
it
ways.
right. So in other words, what they've done is they've gone, all right, we could make a program where it was just really easy for you to like pick a ruler thing.
Right.
And then put down two fingers, which just makes a guide.
Right.
And then I can draw on the guide
Yeah,
and it works, right?
that's fine.
They were like, no. What would be better is if you always had to bring a little fucking brick with you, right? That when you put it down does the same thing as if you would put your two fingers on there, and then you can stroke the line.
Yeah.
And now, of course, they added some other things, not that have anything to do with the ruler, but you can like basically say, oh, I'm going to do like rounded thing from there. Like they have some compass utilities.
Mm-hmm.
Again, nothing that has anything to do with the physical device, because the physical device doesn't change into a curved shape
Right.
or anything else, right? And it's tiny, so it doesn't actually provide mechanical feedback for you doing. So it is literally the same. For all intents and purposes, it is the same as just putting down two fingers to show where you wanted to draw, right? But like, it's a ruler now.
That's amazing.
That is it. That is all it is.
That's their
There
first
is
thing.
nothing else about it, as
Okay,
far as I know.
I think what should we think they should do next? Maybe they could make something that's the digital eraser that's a piece of thing that feels like an eraser that's spongy, that when you wipe it on the
Well,
iPad.
based on what they're doing here, I think what they should do is they should make a pair of glasses that un-3Ds 3D movies or something.
That goes backwards.
Right. It's something you put on with an Oculus Rift that makes it go back to 2D. So like if you have an Oculus Rift and you're like, whoa,
Oculus with the camera.
that is too right.
It
takes
and then
one
flattens it.
side and re-shows it over here so that you're back to a flat display. Because that's basically what they're doing. They're like, I'm so thankful that we have moved past the era when to draft I had to have this wall of implements. Now I can just pick these little tools on the side of the screen and just do it, and it's super fast and awesome, and they're precise and it's great. They were like, fuck that.
No.
We envision a world where you have to roll out like a booklet of like a
think
roll
about it.
of electronic
It
devices.
is good from their point of view in the sense that if you look at the Adobe toolbars, there's a shit ton of things.
Exactly.
They're going to make one for
Exactly.
everyone. They did the line.
Yeah.
And they've done the pen.
They looked at Draw Anything or Draw Something,
Draw
whatever
something.
that program's called,
Right.
and they were like, "This is our new business model." It's like instead of selling, Photoshop or something like that, where we give you all the tools at once,
Right.
why don't we just give you none of the tools at once, and
So-
you have to buy each individual tool, and it's its own hardware dongle, Jeff, because you have to have the piece of hardware for it to work, so you can't even copy it.
So here's
It's
the thing.
brilliant.
Here's the thing that's kind of, I mean, there's all this funny stuff about it, like technology sucks. But
Yeah.
here's something a little grosser about things like this, and that is, there's this concept of, if you're a golfer, I'm not a golfer, but I know the metaphor, which is the equipment doesn't matter, right? Like if Tiger Woods grabs a piece of shit thing, he's going to be he's going to be 1 or 2 strokes off thing.
Yeah.
And yet there is a golf industry, there's billions of dollars that are selling beginners like
Right.
technology that is this crazy carbon
Right.
fiber like
Right.
nonsense that you can't that a beginner can't, he's head topping the ball
Right,
every time.
right.
Not doing shit. That thing's shanking no matter what the fucking head is made of. It doesn't
Right.
matter if it's titanium
Yeah.
or China, right? Doesn't matter. So but
I like
Okay,
a
but-
fine porcelain driver head.
it would have no effect,
Yeah.
right? And so it which is kind of gross, but like, who cares? It's rich white people play golf, whatever. That's a
Right.
way of skimming off some of the money.
Right, it's a
Like,
recapture technology.
Yeah, exactly,
It's how we
whatever.
get 1% funds back to some manufacturing.
who cares? But the concept that to draw, it's kind of been changed that like you just don't need a piece of paper and some charcoal or pencil. It's like, no, you need a tablet because you got to do it on a computer.
That's right.
And do this.
That's
and
right.
now we're making that even more complicated because you need
Right.
to carry all these little devices.
Right,
And
yes.
it's the same thing. It's like people who want to draw will use the excuse, I don't have the right equipment.
Yes.
And also, it's just like this thing of where it feels
You know what it is?
heavyweight.
You know what it's very much like? It's sort of like becoming like the music industry, right? Where like there's all this gear, right?
Yeah.
It's like you want to make a song, you need all this gear
Yeah,
all of
yeah,
a sudden,
yeah.
right?
Right.
It's like, oh, I gotta plug the amp into the fucking
Yeah.
preamp into the reamplifier, and then
Otherwise, it's
all
not even
that
worth
shit's gonna have to be
starting.
amplified. Yeah. Otherwise, I can't lay down the tracks like I need
Right,
to,
right.
whatever. Yeah.
And
No, I
it just
agree.
it just feels weird and like and you could say music like, hey, you want to edit in a different way, but like it takes so long to get. I mean, my whole family is artists other than me, pretty much. And like none of them are really computer people, and a few of them, my mom draws on the computer and she's pretty good at it. But for the most part, these are all people that are good because they just spent a lot of time drawing on paper, right? And so it just seems funny to like recreate these artificial hardware things to do things where you can just pick up a fucking pencil,
Right,
and like
right.
and you'd be better off. Like at least you're drawing.
Well, the interesting thing about it too is, so it was very clear from the announcement that none of that like artistry is not something Adobe either A cares about or B was targeting with this announcement.
Yeah.
The reason that you know that is because what are the things that would be important for artistry? Well, one would be latency.
Mm-hmm.
The most important thing you could do for a pen to,
Right.
that you have to have right is that the instant you put the tip down, it's drawing.
Right.
And when you move, it moves exactly with you.
Right.
Even, unfortunately, like a Windows system with Wacom or whatever, they should nail this stuff and they don't nail it. It's unfortunate. So that would be a great thing. Nope, don't even mention that. And the demo they show is horrific. It's like, right. The other thing would be if they actually could figure out some way to actually have you draw on the surface, right?
Right,
Because that's
instead
the
of
biggest problem with Wacom,
Yeah.
right, like Cintiqs right now, is that they're still that little bit of separation
Right.
between where you put it down. And with the iPads, it's
So if you're
way
leaning-
worse because
so-
it's a big old piece of glass on there
Right.
now. It's way worse, right? So
So people just
there's
get-
nothing artistry related
Yeah.
about this. This
Yeah.
is strictly something for people who are willing to cope with those things.
That's
but
true.
you would never, as an artist, look at that and go, "That's better than what I'm
Yeah.
looking." Where it's like, no,
Yeah,
it's
that's a
strictly
good point.
worse
Like
than
Adobe
what I'm
could
working on right
Adobe
now.
could create a
A
Android
artist-
tablet that
Oh,
has
yes.
no glass, and they're
Somehow.
like, yeah, or like
I mean, I
it's
don't know
just,
if they can. I
it-
assume that if they could,
it puts the
Cintiq would've.
OLED up there. I don't know. I mean, a lot of these they're optimized for different things. Like this thing is optimized, like it's got Gorilla
No.
Glass on it.
I'm
so
just
it
saying.
can be dropped.
I'm assuming that Wacom's Cintiqs would do
Oh.
whatever the thing is if
Yeah.
they could, because they're strictly made for that purpose. But I don't know.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true. That's true. That's true.
But yeah.
do-
No, I mean, there's
those appear-
There's totally room out there for an artist's tablet. It would be awesome.
Yeah.
Nobody that I know of could even understands that is.
You have a
thing.
Cintiq that has the display.
I don't have a Cintiq. I don't like Cintiqs very much. I still use just a regular Wacom tablet.
Okay.
With a
That didn't draw with the screen up there.
That's right.
Right.
The
Okay.
only reason is because I find that
Do they appear as another HDMI device? Like, what, or do they
Yeah.
look like a display?
Cintiq?
Yeah.
I think it's just basically a tablet plus a monitor.
I see. Okay.
Right. But yeah, so the problem with the Cintiqs is basically just that it's closer, but it's not close enough for me. So there's not really a benefit to moving to it.
Right.
It's still like when you put the tip down, the thing to me that will be the day they have this is the day I will buy one, is if you could put the tip down and you touched what drew. Like
Right.
you literally, it is touching what drew. And the Cintiqs are not that. You still have to calibrate them. There's still a distance between where the pen hits and what you draw, which means that if I
Yeah.
go like this,
More
it
oblique,
changes.
yeah.
But if I could do that, then I totally would do that. And ironically, like, I do kind of wonder in this way that like things sort of have a way of happening when they're consumer and they don't when they're professional. I'm not sure why that is. I guess just scale or whatever. I do kind of wonder if the first thing I switch to is going to be like some future version of the Oculus Rift. Right, like you put the headset on, and now when you look, you're actually
Oh, it's
seeing
adjusting.
a
Right.
rendered version of your hand with the pen, and you put it down and you see it, because it's like, I mean, when they get that good enough, then it's like it's literally touching.
Right.
For all, and I can look around it and do whatever. But right now the Oculuses are too low res.
I imagine that they could get to the point where where you're drawing on the surface with no protection, it's just probably has to be something where that's the primary reason, and they're not okay with some of them getting wrecked because they will, right? Because they won't.
I
have
would
the
totally
photo
buy that.
protection.
If they had that, I would totally buy that. Because
It
that's
might be
the thing that I
interesting.
want.
It might be interesting to get a Cintiq off eBay or something, and we could take the top off and see how close you can get to it.
Yeah, I don't really even know how they're constructed or what the difference, what is actually happening there.
Well,
It may be that the sensor plane is the actual thing.
I think it's the sensor plane, but I think that's below the Gorilla Glass that they glue on there.
I don't
so-
even know if there's glass on a Cintiq. I don't know what's on there.
Yeah, that might be interesting. All right.
I've never really looked at them other than to try them at trade shows. So I don't really know anything about them other than I was like, not quite there yet. I want them to be there, but they're not quite there yet.
Yeah.
So
All right. Well, Adobe, well done. I guess we can summarize.
they've managed to solve a problem that nobody had and solve it poorly. And
Yep.
that
Well,
is
I'm
the
looking
hallmark
forward to the
of
Adobe
Adobe.
Eraser.
The Adobe Eraser, that is a good thing, yes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Adobe Layer tool, which I imagine is a Rubik's Cube, and you have
No,
to
no,
solve
it's-
it to
it's-
switch.
it's onion
because
skin.
I don't. That would be how it would be agreed
It's
to
a-
write well.
no,
but if it's trying to match the way the goddamn layer system works in Photoshop,
It'll be onion
I
skin.
can never get the goddamn
It's
thing.
always good. There'll be two little pegs. You kind of fasten it to your iPad, and they're sheets. And
Yeah.
you just go like this.
And if it was
you put it
Photoshop,
down,
you peel that
yeah,
off,
and
and
it
it'd
goes-
go to the layer
Well,
above.
yeah, right,
Like,
yes. The
I
software
can
will be
never
running.
understand
Yeah.
what the layer tool does, and that's my weakness in Photoshop. So, all right. Anyway, that's it for this week, and we will be back next week, and we have more of that's moments of hardware, our hardware moment.
Our trademark insightful. Well, I call it opining.
Okay.
Hardware opinions by
Okay.
Jeff and Casey.
Yeah, exactly. Where we don't try the
Hard-hitting,
hardware.
in-depth hardware opinions.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Thanks everybody, and
Thanks
we
for
will
tuning
see
in.
you next week.
We will see you next week.